Hello community, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new stimulus package. Well, currently right now it's a proposal, but it is in the House of Representatives and it is going to be voted on Friday, May 15th. Now this particular bill, it has a pretty long name. So let me read it to you. This act may be cited as the Health and Economic Recovery Omnibus Emergency Solutions Act or HEROES Act. So, let's call it the HEROES Act. Let me get into some of the particulars of this new proposal, or this new stimulus package proposal. House Democrats want to send Americans a second round of stimulus checks worth up to $6,000 per family as part of a $3 trillion pandemic relief package they rolled out Tuesday, the largest in history. Like the first round of payments approved by Congress in March, the new proposal calls for giving $1,200 to those earning up to $75,000 a year and $2,400 to couples without dependents making double that, or $150,000 a year before phase outs. But it would be more generous to many families with children, providing $1,200 per dependent up to a maximum of 3 dependents. So there you go. That's the $6,000. So if you are a family of 5, you would be getting $6,000. You would get $2,400 for the couple, husband and wife. You would also get $1,200 for 3 children, which is 36 plus 24 is $6,000 for that family of 5, which is awesome. Also, the earlier stimulus package, which is still in the process of being distributed, which is the CARES Act, gave $500 for each qualifying child under age 17. Americans may not see these new or more generous payments. However, Senate Republican leaders have already said the new bill is dead on arrival. That's to be expected, arguing that another round of emergency funding is not yet needed as states begin to reopen. I certainly disagree with that. The House of Representatives disagrees with that. And that's the reason why we got this new 1,800-page new bill proposal that will be voted on by Friday, May 15th. And then it'll go to the Senate, and then we'll see what the Senate does from there. The Democratic bill would also extend the historic enhancements of unemployment benefits included in the March legislation, CARES Act. It calls for continuing the weekly $600 federal payment through January instead of July. If you remember in the CARES Act, there was a $600 weekly federal unemployment boost. So each state has their own weekly unemployment benefits that you can qualify for. Well, the federal government came behind that through CARES Act and gave an additional $600 per week boost. That was scheduled to expire on July 31st of this year. Well, with the HEROES Act, it would extend that through January 31st of 2021. It also maintains benefits for self-employed, independent contractor, gig workers, and certain people affected by the pandemic through March instead of the end of December. Likewise, it would continue the additional 13 weeks of payments through March. So there you go. That's another nice little update as well in this HEROES Act, is that those federal unemployment benefits of $600 will be continued, which is good. The HEROES Act, the legislation established a $200 billion fund to provide hazard pay to essential workers, which I think that's nice, who have remained on the job during the pandemic, a measure that was not included in the 4 prior relief packages. The House proposal would also funnel more money into efforts that Congress has supported in previous legislation. It would spend nearly $1 trillion to state, local, and territorial and tribal governments, which are facing big budget gaps as their tax revenues plummeted amid the shutdowns of non-essential businesses and the loss of millions of jobs. I think that's a good provision as well. $1 trillion for state, local, and state and local governments, basically. And it would provide another $75 billion for virus testing, contact tracing, and isolation measures. Plus, it calls for Americans who fall ill with the virus to get free treatment. Democratic lawmakers also want to bolster the nation's safety net by increasing the maximum food stamp benefit by 15%, a provision they could not get into prior packages, and providing additional funding for nutrition programs for children. They would also allocate $175 billion to help renters and homeowners and offer subsidies to help Americans who lose their employer-provided health insurance keep their health coverage. So that's the 1,800-page condensed version of the new proposed bill by the House of Representatives. Like I said, that will be voted on May 15th. Now we'll see. Once it passes the House, which I believe it will, it'll get to the Senate. Then the Senate will either pass it or they will reject it and maybe look for a compromise. I think that's the likelihood of this. I think, though, a lot of it has already been pre-negotiated. I think there are a couple of things that the Republicans are missing in here that they will certainly address once this bill gets to the Senate. And at that point, you'll have some back and forth between the House, between the Senate, in order to come up with something that both parties of Congress can agree on, and then would obviously send to the president. So I don't think this will be the final approved bill. I think this is a great template to start with. Again, guys, it's 1,800 pages. I don't think they would spend this much time putting together a 1,800-page bill if it hadn't already been pre-negotiated to some fashion. I think there are some things that'll be added to it. There may be some things that'll be reduced. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a family of 5 could be getting $6,000 one-time check based on the HEROES Act. Also, I think another big one is the unemployment will be extended. The federal $600 unemployment boost, weekly boost check will be continued through January 31st of 2021. I think that's a big one as well. Because remember, last Friday, May 8th, the unemployment numbers came out and you had 15% unemployment, or nearly 30 million people here in the United States are out of work. And that number is expected to grow over the next couple of months as the country reopens again for business. But again, and I've mentioned this on previous videos. I mean, although we're reopening, there are going to be small businesses, which make up the majority of the businesses in the United States, that are not going to be able to reopen. So a part of that 30 million people who are unemployed are going to be permanently unemployed, I believe, for the near future, until other businesses open up and people can start being rehired and get back to work. Great effort by the House of Representatives to come out with the HEROES Act. And I think, again, it is a start. It will be approved, in my opinion, on Friday, May 15th. The House will approve it, and then it will go to the Senate, and that's where the battle will begin as it relates to this next, big stimulus package. So, I'll continue to bring you guys updates on that as it gets to the Senate, and then we start this back and forth. I will certainly keep you guys abreast of what's going on. I thank you for stopping by the channel today. If you're stopping by for the first time, please consider subscribing, share the video, and smash that thumbs up button for me. It helps the channel and it helps me too. But until the next video, guys, stay safe, continue to love one another. We'll get through this together. Peace.